Oh, hey, what's up everyone? My name is Nick and I'm in a tree. Why am I in a tree? No one knows. I do silly things sometimes. But we're not talking about trees today. We are talking about graves. I've always been fascinated about graves. Not because of the darkness behind it, death, but because of its history. Every grave has history. Every grave is of a person that lived a life, that did things in its life, that accomplished things, that loved other people. I am super interested, always in graveyards and exploring it. So that's what we're doing today. We are going to explore all the different graves here in Kuching, in the museum garden. And we're gonna find out why there are graves in a park here. Okay, so let's go explore some graves. This is Global Gibbon. Why are these Chinese graves shaped like this? You've ever seen a Chinese cemetery? You've seen these shapes. What does it look like? It looks like a big armchair. And why in this shape? Because if someone passes away, a Chinese person, according to their belief, they can sit on a high armchair in the heavens or wherever that might be after death, and they can still be part of the king's court. So even though he was a peasant or a poor person in this life, the family would spend as much money as they can on a beautiful grave in the shape of an armchair, so that when he is in heaven, he can sit on the armchair. And usually these graves are up high on hills, so in death he can look over everything. And I just read, because the dead don't sleep, so the dead, your ancestors, will sit up high looking over you and taking care of you. And another fun thing I just read in Chinese belief is that if a disaster did not happen in your life, that is because your ancestor was sitting up there high in the heavens overlooking and made sure that you are safe. Alright, so if you have been in Kuching and you've walked around the museum garden, or you've lived in Kuching all your life and you've always seen these kind of graves, now we're gonna tell you about it. So let's get back to why there are so many Chinese graves here, very close to the museum here in the museum garden. Well, back in 1871, Charles Brooke decided that he should give 6 acres of land to the Chinese community, where the Chinese could then bury their dead. So this whole area used to be a graveyard. Now, over the past decades, things have changed. Little buildings have gone up, a beautiful museum garden has been built here with monuments and whatever. So they had to dig up these graves, and with proper rituals they took the human remains and they buried them somewhere else. So if you walked around the museum garden here, there are no dead bodies in the ground anymore, but the graves still remain. And luckily I have a cameraman that can read Chinese, so on this tombstone it says that it was replaced or rebuilt, something like that, back in 1968. So now these beautiful little plots that you see here are not actual graves anymore, they are memorials of graves that used to be. So let's go have a look around and see if we see any other interesting ones. And I was wondering what this little shrine or grave next to the big one was for, and I thought maybe it was for their son or maybe their dog or their cat. But this is a little grave or shrine for the god of land. We've got another tombstone here, beautiful, like marble, but you can definitely see the difference between certain tombs. Some are majestic and huge. I assume those were very wealthy families. And then you have a smaller, more modest kind of grave like this one. So here is a little collection of, I don't know what to call them anymore, graves or shrines. So let's just call them graves. And I'm trying to figure out what these are actually for. There are 7 up here. There is a little one down here which I assume is for prayers. And as we come down, there's another one here on my left. But the big one is right here. And it feels like this is the main grave, and all these little smaller ones around it are there to support this massive grave. But let's read, or you let me know what you think are these graves and how this kind of works. And there's a plaque there, so let's go and read it and find out what this is all about. Okay, my translator has just done its job. So over here, this massive grave, this is a family grave. Here it says there are 6 people buried here, or there used to be 6 people buried here. This is name 1 and 2, apparently. And 3, 4, 5, 6. So this, at least this big one in the middle, is a family grave. Alright, so translation machine has worked. We have figured out that this is indeed a family grave. And all these are not really graves, as I said earlier, they are memorials. So here, we go here first, because we have to read this. This means that in 1991, the Sarawak government decided that they are gonna build a memorial park here at the museum gardens, and through Chinese culture and, what do you call it, procedures, they had dug up all the graves, so they took the human remains and they have buried them somewhere else. And in proper tradition, they have then created these little shrines or these little, gravestones for different people. So this is for 2 people. This one is also for 2 people. Then over there is for 8, 9, 7 and other people. And over there on the left, interesting, that is for the public. So I assume that when they built this park here, there's the memorial park behind us over there, War Memorial Heroes Monument. So when they were doing that, they took up all the remains and they placed them somewhere else. And as a remembrance of the people that used to be buried here, they would build this for a couple. And they built that for a group of people. And that one may be a family of 7 or 8. So they have a little memorial shrine for them there. Now, interesting. Let's see what else we can find. It's super interesting. I'm so happy that my cameraman reads Chinese, because otherwise it would have been a totally, completely different kind of video. Okay, so if you were walking here 100 years ago, there would be graves, Chinese graves, all over here. There's 6 acres here, but as they decided to build this heroes monument, all these graves were moved to other locations. And like I said, like we've seen just now, some of these monuments of the Chinese that used to be buried here, the monuments are still here. Now, this monument was built for the heroes, for the people that died during the confrontation between 1948 and 1966. A confrontation where Indonesia clashed with Malaysia and loads of people died. And this one is for all the Dayak, for all the Malay, for all the people, all the heroes that died in that fight. Now, let's continue to see if we can find some more of these very interesting Chinese graves. Let's go. Okay, I found another one hidden in the corner of the park. Another one. Let's translate this. See the old joss stick still here. There's some candles here. So let's clean this up a little bit out of respect for the dead. So this little gravestone was for Cao Li Sun. That's what we think his name was. So I'm gonna take a moment and think about Cao Li Sun and how he lived his life here in Sarawak. And I would like to think that as well, when I die in the future and there's a grave and then, my family members, maybe they pass away, but still maybe 100 to 150 years in the future, it would be nice if someone would sit down by my grave and thought about me for a moment. Oh no, here's a broken one. It's very heavy. Let's see if we can put it back. Name?
Fu De Gong.
Alright, so here we have Fu De Gong. And fortunately on these gravestones, it only shows the date that it was moved, that the body was moved to another location, which was in 1993, which is when they were building this park. So, 福德宫 is for you, is to you. So here we have another grave, and I think we were slightly mistaken earlier. We've had a little conversation about it. So this is the name of an actual person. However, on this side, Fu De Gong or something like that, which we thought was a name, but actually it translates to a blessing of the moral of the public, something like that. So I assume that back in the day when they were moving all these graves to another location, maybe there were graves without a name on it. So if you had a name on your grave, then you would get a stone as a memorial with your name on it. But let's say Mr. Guo did not have a tombstone, or it was gone, but they still got the body out of the grave and put it somewhere else. So as a respect to that person, they put this is a memorial and a blessing to that person of the public. So an unknown person, but he still gets a beautiful little memorial tombstone right here in the museum garden. So there's the museum, hence the museum garden. Alright, and another grave, tombstone, memorial. This was for a father. Someone's father was originally buried here. It's been moved to another location. But I would say this would be the most beautiful view, because you've got beautiful field here, museum there, the sun shining on your memorial every morning. So here's to all the fathers. Alright. So here in the gazebo of the Ling clan, I'm gonna end the video. I assume that the Ling clan donated this gazebo, so you can come here and sit down. You can do the same walk around the memorial park here and see all these unique memorials of all these old Chinese graves. And it was very interesting. I thought we were gonna do a video about all the different graveyards here in Kuching, but it turned out we're just gonna focus on these historical Chinese graves here in the Kuching Museum's garden. I thought it was super interesting, and thank you to Mr. Peter behind the camera, because he translated all the words to me, and then we tried to figure out what it all meant. So I learned a lot today. Super interesting. Now, this is the end of the video. Let's have a last look at this beautiful grave here, and go on a walk around this park, and you have a look yourself at all these unique, nice graves. And if I've mistranslated anything, please let me know. And if you have any other information about where these graves might have been, or where these bodies might have been put, let me know in the comments down below. And this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next one. Maybe another grave video. Okay, see you. Bye-bye.